So, a little bit of a different type of episode, but I want to talk about something that happened to me yesterday and what I would like to call yesterday's emotional crash out. All of my friends and family do not need to be concerned. I am safe. I am fine. I am not panicking. However, yesterday, it's like everything in my life was this tornado around my head and I couldn't get it to stop. And I had to go sit on my back porch and just de-escalate. Almost Maycember, as many of you know, if you have kids in school, where there's just so much on the moms and dads, but there's so much to do. There's so much on the kids, and it just feels like it's too much. So I want to talk about my emotional crash out and how I was able to de-escalate myself within about 10 to 15 minutes. When these thoughts won't let go and we break the worry loop, that's what we're going to talk about today. And look, what I went through yesterday, it was hard. And I started to have these thoughts of, what if my kids are not going to be okay? What if I'm never going to be able to get them into college? What if I can't pay for college? What if I never write another book? Just the what ifs, the what ifs. It was such a frustrating day. I had all these things I needed to do, and almost none of them got done. It just felt like I was on a hamster wheel. And so with that, I just ended up on my back porch, fully in tears around 5 o'clock. Dinner was in the oven, which by all standards was kind of a miracle. But I wanted to talk you through what happened to me. Have you ever had a thought that should have been normal, a normal concern, but somehow it turned into the only thing your brain could hold on to? Like any good thing that had happened that day or that week or that year goes away because of this one thing, this one fear. You try to let it go. You try to tell yourself you're fine, but your brain just keeps coming back. And briefly need to just admit, yeah, that was me last night. So I want to talk about how I de-escalated myself because I am far from perfect. I just finished a day of sessions of helping some really amazing women who struggle just like I do. So I want to take you from obsession and I want to get you and take your mind back. This is not a weakness. This is just how your brain works. When we have too many concerns and fears at once and our brain fixates on one big thing, we go to the worst case scenario very often of, this is never going to be okay. This is never going to work out. Will my child be okay? Will everything come crashing down? Fill in the blank. And it keeps going on and on. This is your brain trying to protect you from something that's actually not usually a biological threat. So when you start to feel this upset over an obsession or something you just can't let go of, your brain thinks that you're in physical danger. And so a part of our brain called the amygdala talks back and forth to the brainstem. This is a part of our brain that is not logical. It almost reacts like a bear is coming at you. So that's what starts to happen in your body. Your heart rate might go up. You might feel nauseous. You might fight, flight, or freeze. It's a very common response in these moments. So a concern is a useful, grounded, proportionate thought. So something like, I hope that my child is able to get into college, or I hope we're going to be able to pay for it. For some reason, I am really fixated on all of the mistakes that I've made in the last 10 years. But an obsession is a repetitive, urgent thought and set of thoughts that tells you it's unsolvable. And the thing is, even biologically, your brain is telling you a bear is running at you, right? Well, that is something that in theory could be solvable. So an obsession doesn't really have room here. I want you to name what's driving it. Why am I obsessed about whether or not I'm going to be able to pay for college? Well, on one hand, pretty much my entire TikTok feed, Instagram Reel feed has been talking about the economy, has been talking about how the cost of living is just getting unlivable. And I am just looking at the balance that's in my kid's 529 account. And I'll just be honest, we started saving for college way later than we quote should have, but we started saving for college when we actually financially could. And so that helped when I reframed that part of me that starts to panic about, oh my gosh, I have friends that have this much saved for the kids for college. Well, they might have been in a different story. They might make more money. They might not have had the kind of college debt that I had. They might have had more help from family, fill in the blank. Mitch and I both didn't finish school till far later in our careers. So our careers didn't get going until our late 20s. We didn't really get them going in our early 20s like a lot of our friends. And we just can't compare apples to oranges. So the fear underneath is, what if I've messed this up and they're never going to have lives and it's my fault? And that's just not true. What's true is we do save for college. What's true is we're doing the best we can. We really are. And also, maybe I should watch a little bit less of that content that is this panic mode. I'll be honest, that may be true. I know that financially things in the US are not good right now. And I am very aware that we have it a lot better than a lot of people that are listening right now. So let me just own that. I'm not pretending that that is not real. But what is true is the fact that me panicking and absolutely crashing out about the fact that I haven't saved, quote, enough for college isn't going to help anybody either. And so when I look at what's driving it, is under that for me, it's I've made a mistake and I've screwed my kids. And that's not the truth. We are going to keep saving money. We also, by the way, live in God's economy. We don't live in just the US economy. And thank goodness for that. God has carried Mitch and I and a lot of people I love through some pretty crazy financial circumstances. And so what feels at stake here? Many of you know I grew up with very little. I grew up without proper medical care a lot of the time. Did not have health insurance at all until I was in college. And I grew up with food insecurity. And so it's a nice way of saying I grew up pretty poor with a single mom that did the absolute best that she could. And so with that, the fear is that that's going to happen to my boys. And look, we have no idea what's going to happen in the future. Jesus could come back tomorrow, which, some days sounds better than others, to be honest. But we just don't know. We don't know. I could have millions of dollars in their college accounts, and that does not mean that they're going to have a perfectly secure, safe life. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. It'd be nice, but it actually does not give them any more security. And it helped me to break this thought down and say, guess what? We started saving when we could. And so I made a decision sitting on my back porch that I'm done beating myself up for this. I'm done going back and thinking about the millions of ways I could have changed this. Now I'm going to move forward. I made myself sit down with a pen and paper, old school, and write down the things that I had done to ensure a good future for my boys. And it was a very simple list, and put my hands on it and said, I've done it. And so let me focus on the next hour. It felt free. I guess I forgave myself for something that I really didn't do wrong. But I also decided to back up this belief that I am responsible for my children having a happy, healthy adult life. Because guess what? And I really hope everyone listening listens to this. I don't have that much power. You could have a near perfect parenting record, near perfect, and give your children every opportunity and every lesson and every bit of college fund and still screw it up. We don't know the future. They're sentient beings. They can make their own choices. I just realized, and it was something that God whispered over me, Rachel, you don't have that much power. The world really wants us to believe that we do. And I think they make a lot of money off of us if we have this fear. Then maybe if the world believes this, then it will cause them to behave in this certain way. But moms, you don't have that much power. I do not want to take away good parenting and going to counseling. I don't want to take away from correcting yourself when you maybe were too harsh with your child, yelled at your child when you shouldn't have, when you blamed them for something that was actually your fault, when you're blaming your issues on them. I mean, I could go on and on. We need to constantly be self-correcting and repairing our relationship with our kids, but we are not responsible for them having a perfect life as a grown adult. And what if maybe some of their struggles that they do have is actually going to make them exactly who they are? I know my struggles most certainly have made me who I am, and I'm really thankful for them. Even though my mom, she wishes it could have been done a different way over and over again. But it made me who I am today, and I'm glad I learned those lessons, and I'm glad that I had an amazing mom who loved me through it. So, moms, if we step back and realize that we just don't have that much power, I feel like it gives us a lot of power. Because then maybe we start to focus on the things that we can do. I crashed out for 10 minutes last night, but I got it together. I did a few grounding exercises, did some deep breathing. By the way, inhaling shorter than your exhale. So taking a longer exhale tells your brain that it's safe. I pushed my feet into the grass and I did some grounding and got my face back together without all the tears, and went back in and made dinner and laughed with my kids, and I got it together rather than me wallowing in this obsession that I've been struggling with. I got it together and went inside, and I was a mom because I realized that's where my power is me regulating my nervous system, going back inside and helping them get through whatever they needed to get through that day. My younger son told me about some concerns that he's had with friends recently, and my older son's just talking about EOGs. And I was able to mentally be there, and they weren't seeing me coming in absolutely crashed out. So I was able to talk about dinner and just laugh and play with the kitties with them and go through the day, because that's where my power was. My power was regulating my nervous system, which I'm not always great at, but I was able to do it. And that's where my power was, because we don't get that much power. So please, moms, let's look forward. So let's look at 3 things that you can do in the next hour to make yourself a better mom. And sometimes that's actually letting dad take over and you going on a walk and doing something for yourself to regulate your nervous system. We don't have the kind of power to determine our children's future. We don't. I pray that that sets somebody free today, because it set me free last night. I appreciate each of you. Every week, more and more people listen. So I pray that more listen today. And as I end every episode on the overshare, which I have very much overshared today, I'm going to pray over you. So let's pray. God, thank you for this day that you've given us. I thank you for each person listening. God, I thank you that you showed up for me yesterday in my total crash out. And God, I thank you that you store my tears in heaven and that they matter to you. God, I'm so thankful that you gave me these words today to give to the people that listen to my podcast. I pray that they would reach every inch of the earth as it would be within your will. I pray that I'd be your mouthpiece and that I would continue to rest in the fact that, Lord, you have the power to control what's going to happen in the future. And you control my boys, Hunt and Reeve. You control their future. God, I'm thankful for that. And God, I pray that it would set me free as well as each person listening. Lord, help everyone feel encouraged today, revitalized today, and that they would seek your truth first today. Lord, let us seek your word when we start to panic. Let us meditate on the things that you say are noble and true when we feel like the world is too much. God, set us free just so we can do the work that you have for us. And we ask all of these things in the mighty name of your son, Jesus. Amen.